Section 16 of Modern Magic. Modern Magic, a practical treatise on the art of conjuring, by Professor Lewis Hoffman. Card Tricks Requiring Special Apparatus, Part 3. The Card and Bird Box. This is, in form and general appearance, similar to that form of the card box last above described, that which has an enclosed space beneath the flap. But its working is precisely the converse. In other words, the normal condition of the flap in this case is to lie folded against the back of the box, against which it is pressed by the action of a spring. It may, however, be folded down so as to lie parallel with the bottom, a little catch projecting from the inner surface of the front, holding it in that position. The lock is in this case a mere sham, having neither key nor keyhole, but a little stud projecting from the lower edge of the lid, and representing the staple of the lock, presses, when the box is closed, upon an upright pin passing through the thickness of the wood up the front of the box, and thereby withdraws the catch, when the flap flies up, concealing the card which has just been placed upon it, and revealing the bird or other object which had previously been concealed beneath it. The same principle is sometimes applied to the card box, the flap when set lying flat on the bottom of the box, leaving no hollow space below. The Card Tripod. This is a miniature table, standing 5 or 6 inches high. It has a round top of about the same diameter, supported on a tripod foot. It is provided with an ornamental cover of tin or pasteboard, shaped somewhat like the top of a coffee pot, just large enough to fit neatly over the top of the table, and about an inch deep. The table has a false top, made of tin, but japanned to match the real top, and of such a size as to fit tightly within the cover. If the false top be laid upon the true one, and the cover placed over both, the cover will, on being again removed, carry with it the false top, and leave exposed the real one, which, however, the audience take to be that which they have already seen. The reader will already have perceived that the card tripod is in effect very similar to the changing card box. Like the card box, it may be used either singly or in pairs, and the tricks performed by its aid will be nearly the same. Thus, 2 forced cards drawn by the audience may be made to change places from one tripod to another. A card drawn and destroyed may be reproduced from its own ashes, or a card drawn and placed on the tripod may be made to vanish altogether, the drawn card being in each case laid upon the false top, that to which it is to be apparently transformed having been previously placed under the false and upon the true top. A card once changed, however, cannot be restored to its original condition, and the card tripod is therefore in this respect inferior to the card box. The Torn Card. This is a very effective trick. The performer requests some one of the company to draw a card, and having done so, to tear it up into any number of fragments. He does so, and hands them to the operator, who returns one corner to him, with a request that he will take particular care of it. The performer announces that out of the torn fragments he will restore the card anew, for which purpose he first burns the fragments on a plate or otherwise, carefully preserving the ashes. He then brings forward one of the changing card boxes already described, and, after showing that it is empty, closes it, and places it on the table in view of all present. He next takes the ashes of the torn card, and loading a pistol with them, fires at the box. If he has not a pistol at hand, placing the ashes on the box, rubbing them on the lid, or any other act which gets rid of them will answer the same purpose. When the box is opened, the card is found whole as at first, with the exception of one corner, being ostensibly that which was retained by the drawer. Taking this piece in his right hand, and holding the card by one corner between the thumb and first finger of his left hand, the performer makes a motion as if throwing the small piece towards it. The small piece instantly vanishes from his hand, and at the same moment the card is seen to be completely restored, the torn corner being in its proper place. Some performers, instead of giving the drawer the torn corner to take charge of in the first instance, burn ostensibly the whole of the pieces and pretend surprise on finding that there is a corner missing, when the card is restored. Directly afterwards, however, they pick up the missing fragment from the floor where they have just previously dropped it, and the trick proceeds as already described. The reader will no doubt already have conjectured that the card drawn is a forced one, and that the supposed restored card was concealed beforehand underneath the false bottom of the card box. This pretended restored card is in reality an ingenious, though simple piece of apparatus constructed as follows. A piece of tin is cut to the exact size and shape of a card. Out of this, at one of the corners, is cut an oblong piece, measuring about 1 inch by 5/8. This piece is attached by a spring hinge, a, on one side of it, to the larger piece of tin, in such manner that it can be folded back, flat against it. The action of the spring, however, bringing it back again when released to its original position. To this piece of tin is soldered lengthways a narrow tailpiece of such length as to extend nearly to the opposite end of the larger piece of tin. This tailpiece forms a kind of handle wherewith to bend back the smaller piece of tin on its hinge, and at the same time acts as a check to prevent the action of the spring pressing the smaller piece beyond the plane of the larger one. A playing card is split in two in order to reduce its thickness, and the face of the card thus reduced is pasted on the front of the larger piece of tin. Previously, however, a piece, somewhat smaller than the little movable flap, is torn out of one corner, and pasted on the flap in such a manner that, when the latter is released, the torn piece will occupy its proper position with respect to the remainder of the card, which will thus appear complete. When, however, the movable flap is folded back, and so held by the pressure of the forefinger upon the tailpiece, the torn portion of the card will be folded back with it, as in Fig. 54. When the mechanical card is placed in the box, it should be thus folded back, and kept in position by a little bit of thin wire, half an inch long, and bent into a miniature staple or clip, which, slipped over the end of the tailpiece and the adjoining edge of tin, will effectually hold the flap back, and yet may be got rid of in an instant, when the forefinger is ready to take its place. You must take care so to place the card in the box as to be face uppermost when the box is opened, as the audience must not, of course, see the back. When you desire to make the card complete, you have only to slip aside the forefinger and thus release the movable flap. There are torn cards now made entirely of pasteboard, dispensing with the tin plate at the back. This is a decided improvement. As to the disappearance of the loose corner from your hand, you will find little difficulty when you have learnt the art of coin palming to be hereafter explained. Assuming that you have at present no knowledge on this subject, you may proceed as follows. Take the bit of card between the forefinger and thumb of your right hand, and, as you make the motion of throwing it towards the mechanical card, push it with the ball of the thumb between the first or second joints of the first and middle fingers. This releases the thumb, and the inside of your hand being turned away from your audience, you run little risk of discovery, particularly as the same piece, apparently, is now seen in its proper place as part of the restored card. We must not omit to mention that there is a mode of performing the torn card trick in which the use of the mechanical card is dispensed with. In this case the performer secretly takes an ordinary card, say the knave of spades, and tears off one corner, which he carefully preserves. The card thus mutilated he places in a card box or other similar piece of apparatus. Pack in hand, he advances to the company and forces the knave of spades, having meanwhile the little corner piece of the concealed card hidden between the second and third fingers of his right hand. The card having been drawn, he requests the drawer to tear it up, and place the pieces on a plate, which he hands him for that purpose. Having received the pieces, he says carelessly, "You had better keep one piece for the purpose of identification," and so saying, hands him apparently one of the fragments of the card just torn, but really the concealed corner piece, which he drops from his hand on the plate for that purpose in the very act of picking up. The trick then proceeds as already described up to the finding of the card partially restored, in which condition it is handed to the drawer, and its identity proved by showing that the torn edge exactly corresponds with the corner retained. The trick may either end here, or by using a second card box, card tripod, or the like, the card and corner may be again changed for a complete card. Mechanical changing cards. These are of 2 or 3 kinds, but all have the same object, viz., the apparent transformation of the card to a different one. In some cases the change is from a court card of one suit to the same card of another suit. For example, a king of spades to a king of hearts, involving merely the alteration of the pip in the corner. This is effected by having the card made double, that portion of the front card on which the pip should be being cut out. The hindmost card, which is pasted only round the extreme edge to the front one, is a plain white card, but with the appropriate pip, say a spade, neatly painted in the proper position to allow of its showing through the opening in the front card, which thus has the appearance of an ordinary king of spades. Between the 2 cards is a movable slip, worked by a pin through a slip in the back, on which is painted a heart pip. By moving this slip, the heart is in turn brought opposite the opening, covering the spade pip, so that the card now appears to be the king of hearts. The card, as above described, is of the old single-headed pattern, but the same principle may be applied to double-headed cards. In this case, both of the pip portions of the front card are cut away as in Fig. 55, while on the upper corresponding portion of the hinder card is painted, say, a spade, and on the lower a heart, as in Fig. 56. The movable slip is of such a shape and size as to cover the one or the other, according as it is drawn up or down, and on the upper part of this is painted a heart, and on the lower a spade. When, therefore, the slip is pushed up, the heart pip on the slip and the heart pip on the hindmost card are shown, so that the card appears to be a king of hearts. When, on the other hand, the slip is drawn down, the spade pip of the hinder card is revealed, and at the same time the slip covers over the heart pip of this latter, and exhibits its own spade pip, giving the card the appearance of a king of spades. These mechanical cards are used in various ways. Such a card may be introduced with good effect in the trick of the rising cards before described. The king of spades, we will suppose, is one of the cards drawn. The changing card is made one of those which rise from the pack, but is so arranged as to appear as the king of hearts. When the king of spades is called for, this card rises. The performer feigns to be taken by surprise, and asks the person who drew the card whether he is sure he is not mistaken, and that the card he drew was not the king of hearts. The drawer naturally maintains the correctness of his own recollection, while the performer as stoutly insists that the cards never deceive him, and that, if the king of spades had been drawn, the king of spades would infallibly have risen when called. At last, as if tired of the dispute, he says, "Well, I still maintain you were mistaken. But as you insist that your card was the king of spades, why, we will make this into a king of spades." So saying, and holding up the card between his middle finger and thumb, he touches its face with his wand, and at the same moment with the first finger moves the slide, when the card changes to the king of spades. The little dispute as to the supposed mistake, which the audience have hitherto believed to be genuine, gives to the transformation an impromptu air which is very effective. The performer may go on to say, still holding up the card, "You are quite satisfied now, I presume?" The drawer assents. "Then, if so, as it would spoil my pack to have 2 kings of spades in it, you will allow me, before proceeding further, to change the card back again. Change." Again he touches the card with his wand, and it is seen to change back again to the king of hearts. Another mode of using the mechanical card is in conjunction with the changing card boxes above described. In this case the changing cards are used in pairs. One of them, arranged as the king of spades, is secretly placed in the one box, and the other arranged as the king of hearts in the other. 2 of the spectators are requested each to draw a card, and 2 genuine kings of the same respective suits are forced upon them. Taking the cards so drawn, and showing the card boxes apparently empty, the performer places one of the cards in each, taking care to place the king of hearts in the box containing the ostensible king of spades, and vice versa. He now commands the 2 cards to change places, and opening the boxes, shows that his commands are obeyed. He then remarks, "Now I dare say you all think that the trick depends on the boxes. To show you that it is not so, I will again order the cards to change, and this time I will not place them in the boxes, but will merely take one in each hand, so." If your eyes are quick enough, you will see the cards fly across from one hand to the other. Observe, the king of spades is in my right hand, and the king of hearts in my left. 1, 2, 3, change, with a stamp and a slight flourish of the cards. Did you see them fly? Here is the king of hearts in my right hand, and the king of spades has passed to my left. I will put them in the boxes once more. You put each in the box which it before occupied, in doing so again making the change, but without closing the boxes. You continue, "Please to notice which I put in each box, the king of hearts in the right-hand box, and the king of spades in the left-hand box. Is that right?" The audience reply in the affirmative. "Excuse me," you say, "I fear you are mistaken. You did not notice, perhaps, that the cards had changed again." You show that this is so, and then close the boxes so as to bring the cards originally drawn uppermost. Opening them once more, you show that the cards have again changed, and then remark, "I have shown you that the secret does not lie in the boxes. Perhaps you would like to satisfy yourselves that there is no preparation about the cards," which you accordingly hand for examination. Another form of changing card is known as a flap card. This is a card across whose center is fixed a movable flap of exactly half its size. When the flap is folded one way, it covers the upper half, and when it is folded the other way, the lower half of the card, in each case revealing a different surface. On one of such surfaces is pasted, say, a queen of clubs, made thin by peeling off the back, and on the other surface, say, a 9 of diamonds, prepared in like manner. Thus the card will appear, according as the flap is folded, alternately a queen of clubs or a 9 of diamonds. An india rubber spring tends to draw the flap down, so that the normal condition of the card is to appear as, say, the 9 of diamonds. When exhibited to the company, the flap is forced over in the opposite direction, so that the card appears to be the queen of clubs. The thumb and finger hold the flap down until the right moment, when they relax their pressure, and the flap flying up, the card is instantly transformed to the 9 of diamonds. End of section 16.
Section 17 of Modern Magic. Recording by Richard Shipp. Modern Magic, a practical treatise on the art of conjuring by Professor Louis Hoffman. Principles of sleight of hand more especially applicable to coin tricks. Before attempting tricks with coin, it will be necessary for the student to practice certain sleights and passes which more especially belong to this particular branch of the magic art, though the sleight of hand used in coin tricks is more or less applicable to most other small objects. The principles which we have given for card tricks will not here be of any direct assistance to the student, but the readiness of hand and eye which he will have acquired, if he has diligently put in practice the instructions already given, will be of great value to him as a preliminary training, and it may safely be predicted that any person who is a first-rate performer with cards will find little difficulty in any other branch of the art. The first faculty which the novice must seek to acquire is that of palming, i.e. secretly holding an object in the open hand by the contraction of the palm. To acquire this power, take a half-crown, florin or penny, these being the most convenient in point of size, and lay it on the palm of the open hand. Figure 59. Now close the hand very slightly, and if you have placed the coin on the right spot, which a few trials will quickly indicate, the contraction of the palm around its edges will hold it securely. Figure 60. And you may move the hand and arm in any direction without fear of dropping it. You should next accustom yourself to use the hand and fingers easily and naturally while still holding the coin as described. A very little practice will enable you to do this. You must bear in mind while practicing always to keep the inside of the palm either downwards or towards your own body, as any reverse movement would expose the concealed coin. When you are able to hold the coin comfortably in the right hand, practice in like manner with the left, after which you may substitute for the coin a watch, an egg, or a small lemon, all these being articles of frequent use in conjuring. Being thoroughly master of this first lesson, you may proceed to the study of the various passes. All of the passes have the same object, viz. The apparent transfer of an article from one hand to the other, though such article really remains in the hand which it has apparently just quitted. As the same movement frequently repeated would cause suspicion and possibly detection, it is desirable to acquire different ways of effecting this object. For facility of subsequent reference, we shall denote the different passes described by numbers. Footnote. It should be here mentioned that the term palming, which we have so far used as meaning simply the act of holding any article, is also employed to signify the act of placing any article in the palm by one or other of the various passes. The context will readily indicate in which of the two senses the term is used in any given passage. It is hardly necessary to remark that the diagrams, save where the letterpress indicates the contrary, represent the hands of the performer as seen by himself. Pass 1. Take the coin in the right hand between the second and third fingers and the thumb, figure 61, letting it, however, really be supported by the fingers and only steadied by the thumb. Now move the thumb out of the way and close the second and third fingers with the coin balanced on them into the palm, figure 62. If the coin was placed right in the first instance, you will find that this motion puts it precisely in the position above, described as the proper one for palming, and on again extending the fingers, the coin is left palmed as in figure 60. When you can do this easily with the hand at rest, you must practice doing the same thing with the right hand in motion toward the left, which should meet it open, but should close the moment that the fingers of the right hand touch its palm, as though upon the coin, which you have by this movement feigned to transfer to it. The left hand must thenceforward remain closed as if holding the coin, and the right hand hang loosely open as if empty. In the case of an article of larger size than a coin, as for instance a watch or an egg, you need not take the article with the fingers, but may let it simply lie on the palm of the right hand, slightly closing that hand as you move it towards the left. The greater extent of surface in this case will give you plenty of hold, without the necessity of pressing the article into the palm. Remember that, in any case, the two hands must work in harmony, as in the genuine act of passing an article from the one hand to the other. The left hand must therefore rise to meet the right, but should not begin its journey until the right hand begins its own. Nothing looks more awkward or unnatural than to see the left hand extended with open palm before the right hand has begun to move towards it. After the pass is made, a judicious use of the wand will materially assist in concealing the fact that the object still remains in the right hand. For this purpose, the performer should, before commencing the pass, carelessly place the wand under either arm, as though merely to leave his hands free. Immediately that the pass is made, the right hand should, with a sort of backhanded movement, which under the circumstances is perfectly natural, grasp the wand, draw it from under the arm, and thenceforth retain it till an opportunity occurs of disposing of the coin as may be necessary. The position of the fingers in the act of holding the wand is such as to effectually mask the concealed coin, while yet the hand appears perfectly easy and natural. The same expedient may be employed with equal advantage in the remaining passes. Pass 2. This is somewhat easier than Pass 1, and may sometimes be usefully substituted for it. Take the coin edgeways between the first and third fingers of the right hand, the sides of those fingers pressing against the edges of the coin, and the middle finger steadying it from behind, figure 63. Carry the right hand towards the left, and at the same time move the thumb swiftly over the face of the coin till the top joint just passes its outer edge, figure 64. Then bend the thumb and the coin will be found to be securely nipped between that joint and the junction of the thumb with the hand. Figure 65. As in the last case, the left hand must be closed the moment the right hand touches it, and the right must thenceforth be held with the thumb bent slightly inwards towards the palm, so that the coin may be shielded from the view of the spectators. This is an especially quick mode of palming, and if properly executed, the illusion is perfect. It is said to be a special favourite of the elder Frickel. Pass 3. Hold the left hand palm upwards with the coin in the position indicated in figure 59. Move the right hand towards the left and let the fingers simulate the motion of picking up the coin and instantly close. At the same moment, slightly close the left hand so as to contract the palm around the coin as in figure 60, and drop the hand, letting it hang loosely by your side. Pass 4. Le Tourniquet. This, sometimes known as the French drop, is an easy and yet most effective pass. Hold the left hand palm upwards with the coin as shown in figure 66. Now move the right hand towards the left, passing the thumb of the right hand under and the fingers over the coin, closing them just as they pass it. The effect is the same to the eye of the spectator as if you seized the coin with thumb and fingers, but in reality, at the moment when the coin is covered by the fingers of the right hand, you let it drop quietly, figure 67, into the palm of the left. The right hand you should carry upwards and forwards after it leaves the left hand, following it with your eyes and thereby drawing away the attention of the audience from the other hand. See figure 68. Do not be in too great a hurry to drop the left hand, but turn the palm slightly towards you with the fingers a little bent, and after a moment's pause let it fall gently to your side. The hollow made by the bent fingers will be sufficient to hold the coin. This pass is available even for a sixpence or threepenny piece, which from their small size cannot readily be palmed by the ordinary means. It is also very useful for ball conjuring. Pass 5. La Pincetta. This is a modification of the pass last described. The coin is held as in figure 69 between the thumb and first and second fingers of the left hand. You then make the movement of taking it between the same fingers of the other hand, which for that purpose makes a kind of swoop down upon it, the back of the hand being kept towards the spectators. At the moment when the coin is covered by the fingers of the right hand, it is allowed to slip gently down into the palm of the left, and the right is instantly elevated as if containing it. Pass 6. This pass is best adapted for use with 3 or 4 coins, as the chink of the coins against one another materially assists the illusion. Having to get rid of, say, 4pence or florins, you take them in the right hand as indicated in figure 70, viz. Well back towards the wrist. Move the right hand sharply towards the left with the fingers foremost, so that the fingertips of the right hand may come smartly at about right angles against the palm of the left, at the same time slightly bending the fingers. The coins, instead of being shot forward, as to the eye and ear of the spectators they appear to be, into the left hand, are in reality retained in the hollow formed by the fingers of the right, as in figure 71. They are turned completely over as the hands come in contact, producing a loud chink. The left hand is, of course, closed, and the thumb of the right is allowed to sink gently on the coins, so that when the hand falls by your side they may not make a second chink, and so betray their presence in the wrong hand. Pass 7. La Coulée. This pass is best adapted for a coin of large diameter, like the French 5-franc piece, and is but little used by English conjurers. If, however, the student has a very small hand, a serious disadvantage in conjuring generally, he may find it convenient to use the pass in question with a half-crown or penny. Take the coin in the right hand between the first and second fingers and the thumb, and in the act of apparently transferring it to the left hand, gently slide it with the ball of the thumb into the position shown in figure 72, where it is held by the pressure of the first and fourth fingers against its opposite edges, the hand remaining completely open. Pass 8. The peculiarity of this pass is that it is made while holding the wand in the hand, a case in which none of the other passes are available. Holding the wand and coin in the right hand, as indicated in figure 73, you strike the edge of the coin sharply against the palm of the left hand and instantly close that hand. The effect of the movement is to drive back the coin, which should be held very lightly, into the position shown in figure 74, in which, being behind the first 3 fingers, it is completely hidden. You should lose no time in relaxing the fingers of the right hand and gently closing them around the coin, as their straightened position, if continued, might arouse suspicion. You must, however, be careful that in doing so you do not allow the coin to chink against the wand, as the sound would naturally draw attention to its whereabouts. It must not be imagined that all of the passes above given are in turn used by every performer. Almost every conjurer has his favourite pass or passes, either selected from those above described or invented by himself. Any mode by which a coin can be held in the hand without indicating its presence may be worked up into a pass. Thus, some performers will hold a coin by its edges between 2 of the fingers or between the thumb and the side of the hand. Others again hold the coin flat against the first or second joint of the second or third finger, retaining it by slightly bending the finger. The novice should experiment till he ascertains which method best suits the conformation of his own hand. We have specified the hand to and from which each pass is generally used, but if the student desires to attain special excellence, he should practice until he is able to use each from left to right as well as from right to left. In performing before a company of spectators and standing with the left side towards them, it is well to use a pass which apparently transfers the coin from the right hand to the left and vice versa. The coin is thus left in the hand furthest away from the spectators, and the performer has the benefit of the cover of the body in dropping it into the pochette or otherwise disposing of it. The student will here, as in card conjuring, find great advantage in practising before a looking glass, before which he should, in the first place, actually do that which he afterwards pretends to do, and carefully notice the positions and motions of his hands in the first case, which he should then do to his best to simulate that there may be as little difference as possible between the pretence and the reality. He should further accustom himself always to follow with his eyes the hand in which the object is supposed to be, this being the most certain means of leading the eyes and the minds of his audience in the same direction. When he is able to perform the passes neatly with a single florin or penny, he should then practice with coins of smaller size, with 2 coins at once, and afterwards with 3 or 4. A word of caution may here be desirable. These passes must by no means be regarded as being themselves tricks, but only as processes to be used in the performance of tricks. If the operator, after pretending to pass the coin, say from the right hand to the left, and showing that it had vanished from the left hand, were to allow his audience to discover that it had all along remained in his right hand, they might admire the dexterity with which he had, in this instance, deceived their eyes, but they would henceforth guess half the secret of any trick in which palming was employed. If it is necessary immediately to reproduce the coin, the performer should do so by appearing to find it in the hair or whiskers of a spectator, or in any other place that may suit his purpose, remembering always to indicate beforehand that it has passed to such a place, thereby diverting the general attention from himself. As the coin is already in his hand, he has only to drop it to his fingertips as the hand reaches the place he has named, in order, to all appearances, to take it from thence. Having given this little piece of advice as to the hand in which the coin actually is, we must add a few words more as to the hand in which it is not. Whenever you have apparently placed any article either in the closed hand or in some piece of apparatus from which it is afterwards to disappear, you should not, as a rule, show that the article has departed from the spot where you have apparently placed it, without interposing some magical process, however slight, which may colourably account for its disappearance. A mere nothing will suffice, a touch of the wand, the pronouncing of a magic formula, the pressure of a finger. But in some form or other the ceremony should never be omitted. Thus, to take a very simple example, we will suppose that by means of Pass 1 you have apparently placed in the left hand a coin which really remains in the palm of the right. If you at once open the left hand and show that the coin is not there, the spectators will naturally jump to the correct explanation, viz., that you did not, in reality, put the coin there at all. If, however, you delay opening the left hand for a minute or two, so as to let the audience get accustomed to the idea that the coin is therein, and then, before opening it, touch the hand mysteriously with your wand, or even simply as you slowly open the left hand, rub the ball of the wrist with the second and third fingers of the hand which holds the coin, see figure 75, you not only give that hand an occupation apparently inconsistent with the fact of anything remaining concealed in it, but you suggest to the audience that the gesture in question is the cause of the disappearance of the coin. It is surprising what an effect even such a trifle as this has in misleading the judgment of a spectator. He knows perfectly well in the abstract that touching the closed hand with the wand, or rubbing it with a finger of the opposite hand, is not an adequate cause for the disappearance of the coin. But the fact being indisputable that the coin has disappeared, the mind unconsciously accepts the explanation which is thus indirectly offered. The advice here given becomes less important where, before the hand is opened, you are able to get rid of the object from that in which it originally appeared. Here the spectator is precluded from imagining that you retained it in the hand in which he first saw it, as that hand also is shown to be empty, and the absolute disappearance of the coin being a self-evident fact, you may leave the spectator to account for it in his own manner. The various passes may be employed not only to cause the disappearance of an article as above described, but to secretly exchange it for a substitute of similar appearance. These exchanges are of continual use in conjuring. Indeed, we may almost say that 3 parts of its marvels depend on them. Such an exchange having been made, the substitute is left in sight of the audience, while the performer, having thus secretly gained possession of the original, disposes of it as may be necessary for the purpose of the trick. We proceed to describe various forms of changes, denoting them, as in the case of the passes, by numbers. Change 1. You desire, we will suppose, to exchange, or in conjurer's parlance to ring, a florin, marked by the audience for another. You have the latter, which we will call the substitute, ready palmed in your left hand, of course taking care to keep the palm turned away from the audience. Taking the marked florin in the right hand, you palm it in that hand by pass 1, but instead of closing the left hand as the fingers of the right touch it, keep that hand loosely open and show lying on its palm the substitute which the audience take to be the original just placed there by your right hand. Change 2. This is the same as change 1, save that you use with the right hand pass 2 instead of pass 1. Change 3. Here also you use pass 2, but you have the substitute palmed in the right hand instead of the left. Taking up the marked florin with the same hand, you make with it pass 2 at the same instant, dropping the substitute from its palm into the left hand. This is a very neat and effective change. Some performers are expert enough to make this change by means of pass 1 instead of pass 2, the genuine coin taking the place of the substitute in the palm, but this demands dexterity of a more than average order. Change 4. For this change you must have the substitute palmed in the right hand and take the marked coin between the thumb and second finger of the left. Then, by pass 4, appear to take it in the right hand and at the proper moment exhibit the substitute which you have already in that hand. Change 5. Have the substitute palmed in your right hand and hold the marked coin openly on the palm of the left. Pick up the genuine coin with the right hand, at the same moment releasing the palmed substitute, which will accordingly fall into the left hand, the fingers of which should be held slightly hollowed the better to conceal it. Show the marked coin in the right hand and say, "You have seen me take up this coin visibly, I will make it return invisibly," or make some other appropriate observation. Close the left hand, make pass 1 or 2 with the right hand, with a motion towards the left, but without bringing the hands near together. The marked coin will, after the pass, be concealed in your right palm. Immediately opening your left hand, you show the substitute which the audience believe to be the original which they have just seen. There are many other changes. Indeed, they are almost too numerous to describe. If you are able to palm and to make the various passes neatly, you will readily invent methods of ringing for yourself. In the meantime, you will find that the above will answer every necessary purpose so far as coin tricks are concerned. End of section 17.
Section 18 of Modern Magic. Recording by K. Hand. Modern Magic, a practical treatise on the art of conjuring, by Professor Louis Hoffman. Tricks with coin without apparatus, Part 1. There is an immense variety of tricks with coins, some with apparatus, some without. some demanding a thorough mastery of sleight of hand, some so simple as to be within the compass of the merest tyro. The only classification which we shall attempt will be to divide them into such as do and such as do not require special apparatus. A florin being spun upon the table, to tell blindfold whether it falls head or tail upwards. You borrow a florin and spin it, or invite some other person to spin it on the table, which must be without cloth. You allow it to spin itself out, and immediately announce, without seeing it, whether it has fallen head or tail upwards. This may be repeated any number of times with the same result, though you may be blindfolded, and placed at the further end of the apartment. The secret lies in the use of a florin of your own, on one face of which, say on the tail side, you have cut at the extreme edge a little notch, thereby causing a minute point or tooth of metal to project from that side of the coin. If a coin so prepared be spun on the table and should chance to go down with the notched side upwards, it will run down like an ordinary coin with a long, continuous whir, the sound growing fainter and fainter until it finally ceases. But if it should run down with the notched side downwards, the friction of the point against the table will reduce this final whir to half its ordinary length, and the coin will finally go down with a sort of flop. The difference of sound is not sufficiently marked to attract the notice of spectators, but is perfectly distinguishable by an attentive ear. Therefore, if you have notched the coin on the tail side and it runs slowly, you will cry tail; if quickly, head. If you professedly use a borrowed florin, you must adroitly change it for your own under the pretense of showing how to spin it or the like. You should not allow your audience to imagine that you are guided by the sound of the coin, as, if once they have the clue, they will easily learn to distinguish the two sounds. They are not, however, likely to discover the secret of the notch, and if anyone professes to have found out the trick, you may, by again substituting an unprepared florin, safely challenge him to perform it. Odd or even, the mysterious addition. This is a trick of almost childish simplicity, depending upon an elementary arithmetical principle. We have, however, known it to occasion great perplexity, even to more than ordinarily acute persons. You take a handful of coins or counters, and invite another person to do the same, and to ascertain privately whether the number he has taken is odd or even. You request the company to observe that you have not asked him a single question, but that you are able, notwithstanding, to divine and counteract his most secret intentions, and that you will, in proof of this, yourself take a number of coins, and add them to those he has taken, when, if his number was odd, the total shall be even; if his number was even, the total shall be odd. Requesting him to drop the coins he holds into a hat, held on high by one of the company, you drop in a certain number on your own account. He is now asked whether his number was odd or even, and the coins being counted, the total number proves to be, as you stated, exactly the reverse. The experiment is tried again and again with different numbers, but the result is the same. The secret lies in the simple arithmetical fact, that if you add an odd number to an even number, the result will be odd. If you add an odd number to an odd number, the result will be even. You have only to take care, therefore, that the number you yourself add, whether large or small, shall always be odd. To change a florin into a penny, back again, and then to pass the same invisibly into the pocket of the owner. This is a trick of genuine sleight of hand, and will test your expertness in 2 or 3 different passes. Having beforehand palmed a penny in your right hand, you borrow from one of the company a florin, or half-crown, requesting the owner to mark it in such manner that he may be able to identify it. Make him stand up facing you, your own right side and his left being towards the audience. Taking the marked florin between the fingers and thumb of the right hand, the back of which, from your position, will be toward the spectators, you ask him whether he is nervous, whether he can hold fast, and so on. On receiving satisfactory replies, you state that you are about to put him to the test, and request him to hold out his right hand, telling him that you are about to count to 3, and that at the word 3 you will drop the florin into his hand, which he is to close tightly upon it. You accordingly count 1, 2, 3, each time making a motion as if dropping the florin into his hand, and at the word 3 actually do drop it, when he closes his hand upon it as directed, but you are not satisfied. "That won't do, my sir," you exclaim. "You are not half quick enough. You will allow all the electric fluid to escape. We'll try once more, and pray be a little quicker in your movements. Oblige me with the coin again. Now then, are you ready? 1, 2, 3, giving the words with great energy. As you say 3, you stamp your foot, and apparently again drop the florin, but really drop the penny instead by change 3. He is sure this time to close his hand very quickly, and having no reason to the contrary, naturally believes that it is the florin which he holds, your previous feint, when you did actually drop the florin, being specifically designed to lead him to that conclusion. You next request him to hold the closed hand high, that all may see it. This draws the general attention to him and away from yourself, and enables you to place in your palm the florin which was left, after the change, in the bend of your right thumb. You continue, "You did better that time, sir. Now, what will you bet me that I cannot take that 2-shilling piece out of your hand without you knowing it?" Whether he admits or defies your power, the course of the trick is the same. "Well," you say at last, "you seem so determined that I am almost afraid to take the whole of the 2-shilling piece away from you. I think I must be content with 1 and 11 pence. Allow me to touch your hand with my wand." You do so, and on opening his hand he discovers that the 2-shilling piece has changed into a penny. You thank him for his assistance, hand him the penny, and dismiss him to his seat. Naturally enough, he objects to accept the penny in place of his florin. You pretend at first not to understand him, but as if suddenly enlightened, you exclaimed, "Oh, the florin! You want the florin? My dear sir," indicating the penny, "that is the florin. At present it is only under an electric influence, but you have only to wait till that goes off. It won't take more than 3 weeks or so, when it will resume its former appearance. You don't believe me, I see, but I can easily convince you by discharging the electric fluid, when the change will take place at once. Observe. You take the penny between the thumb and second finger of the left hand, after the manner indicated in Fig. 66, and make change 4, making a gentle rubbing movement with the fingers and thumb of the right hand before you open that hand and disclose the restored florin, at the same time carelessly dropping your left hand to your side and letting the penny fall into your pochette on that side. Bring up the left hand again, showing, but without apparent design, that it is empty, and still holding the coin in the right hand, make pass 1 as if you transferred it to the left hand. Make a motion with the left hand as if handing the coin, and say to the owner, "Will you be good enough to examine the florin and see that it is the same you marked?" He naturally holds out his hand for the coin, which he believes to be in your left hand, and which you pretend to give him, but it has vanished. "Well," you say, "is it the same florin?" Looking probably rather foolish, he replies that he has not got it. "Not got it," you say, "why, I have just given it to you. I passed it into your pocket. Look for yourself." He forthwith begins to search his pockets. "You are trying the wrong one," you say. "This is the pocket." As if desiring merely to assist his search, you plunge into any pocket which he has not yet tried your right hand, in the palm of which was the coin left after the pass, and letting the coin drop to the finger ends, take it out as if it were already in the pocket, as 9/10 of the audience will believe it to have been. To make a marked florin and penny wrapped in separate handkerchiefs, change places at command. Borrow a florin or half-crown and a penny, requesting the owners to mark them, that they may be sure of knowing them again. Also borrow 2 pocket handkerchiefs. It may be well to mention once for all that it is generally desirable to borrow from the audience, when you can, any indifferent article used in a trick, e.g., a hat, a watch, or a handkerchief, as you thereby seem to give a guarantee for the absence of preparation. Articles so borrowed are taken upon trust, so to speak, and by making a secret exchange you may still use a prepared substitute, which will escape the close scrutiny to which any article confessedly provided by yourself would be subjected. While the articles above mentioned are being collected from the audience, you secretly palm in your left hand a penny of your own. Receiving the borrowed coins in your right hand, apparently transfer them to the left, but really only transfer the florin, the marked penny remaining in your right hand. This may be effected by making a pass with the marked penny, at the same time allowing the marked florin to drop from the palm as directed in change 3. Take the earliest opportunity of transferring the marked penny to the palm of the right hand, and showing the marked florin and substitute penny, which the spectators take to be the genuine one, on the open left hand, place them on your table, begging the audience to observe that they do not for one moment leave their sight. Then picking up with the right hand the florin, on which you may casually show the mark, and throwing one of the borrowed handkerchiefs over the hand, take hold through the handkerchief of apparently the florin which you have just shown, but really of the marked penny, and transfer the marked florin to the palm. The shape of the coin, which the audience takes to be the florin, will be distinctly seen through the handkerchief, whose folds will fall down around it. Give the handkerchief containing the coin to some person, requesting him to hold it tightly just below the coin and well above his head, that all may see it. Footnote: This takes it out of the range of his eyes, and prevents his indulging any desire for a premature examination of the contents. End of footnote. Now take up the substitute penny, and apparently wrap it in like manner in the second handkerchief, really substituting as before the coin concealed in your palm. The substitute penny, which remains in your right hand, you must drop into your pochette or profanda at the first available opportunity. Give the second handkerchief to another person to hold. The first handkerchief now, to all appearance, contains the florin, and the second the penny. Invite the two persons to stand face to face, the hands holding the handkerchiefs just touching, and after gravely cautioning them to hold very tight, etc., etc., give their hands a gentle rap with your wand, saying "Change." Upon examination, the coins are found to have obeyed your commands. Managed with neatness and address, this is an admirable drawing room trick. The previous marking of the coins apparently precluding any possibility of using substitutes, and allowing the spectator no alternative but to admit that by some mysterious means the identical coins have changed places. A similar trick may be performed without the use of a handkerchief. As before, you borrow a marked florin and penny, exchanging the latter for one of your own, and palm the genuine one. Taking up the marked florin from the table, you hand it to someone to hold, substituting for it as you do so the genuine penny by change 3, as indicated in the trick last described. The florin is thus left in your right hand. Palm it, and take up the substitute penny between the second finger and thumb of the left hand, and pretend by pass 4 to transfer it to the right, which you immediately close. Drop the penny into your pochette on the left side, and announce that by your magic power you will compel the penny which you hold to change places with the florin held by the spectator. When the hands are opened, the supposed change is found to be accomplished. To make two marked coins wrapped in separate handkerchiefs come together in one of them. The coins and handkerchiefs borrowed for the purpose of the last trick will again serve in this one. Palm in your right hand a penny of your own, and throw over the same hand one of the borrowed handkerchiefs. This will effectually conceal the substitute penny, which you may now take between the finger and thumb. Holding the handkerchief spread out upon the open hand, you take up with the left hand the marked penny and place it on the handkerchief, as if to wrap it therein, but at the same time with the third finger push a fold of the handkerchief under the substitute penny in your right hand. You now invert the handkerchief over your left hand for a minute, allowing the marked penny to drop back into the hand, and at the same time twist the fold already mentioned around the substitute. The audience see the shape of a coin wrapped in a handkerchief, and naturally believe that it is that of the marked penny which you have apparently placed inside it. In reality, it is that of your own penny, wrapped merely in an outside fold. You now hand the handkerchief to someone to hold, requesting him to grasp the coin and hold it tightly. The marked penny, it will be remembered, remains in your left hand, and the marked florin on the table. As you go to take up the latter, you transfer the penny to your right hand and palm it, then pick up the florin, holding it at the tips of the fingers. Spread the second handkerchief in the open palm of the left hand. Bring the florin down smartly upon it, and by the same movement let the penny fall from the palm onto the handkerchief. The two coins will now be lying, covered by the right hand, on the handkerchief a couple of inches apart. Close the left hand on both coins, and turn the hand over so that the edges of the handkerchief hang down. With the right hand, grasp the handkerchief 5 or 6 inches below the coins. Take one of these through the handkerchief between the finger and thumb of the left hand, letting the other fall loose inside the handkerchief, which you then invite someone to hold in like manner, but in a horizontal position. See Figure 76. This position is adopted in order that the two coins may not, by accidental chink, prematurely disclose the fact that both are already in the handkerchief. You now announce that you are about to make both coins pass into one handkerchief. Advancing to the person who holds the first handkerchief, you request him, still maintaining his hold, to remove his hand 4 or 5 inches below the coin to give you room to operate. First, showing that your hand is empty, you gently rub the substitute penny through the handkerchief between your finger and thumb, when, being only wrapped within a fold, it quickly falls into your hand. No one ever thinks of inquiring at this point whether it is the marked one or not. Taking in the left hand, in position for pass 4, you say to the person holding the second handkerchief, "Having extracted this penny from the one handkerchief, I will now pass it into the other. I won't even touch the handkerchief, but will simply take the coin in my hand and say 'pass.' Will you be good enough, at the word 'pass,' to let go of the coin you are holding, but still keep hold of the handkerchief with the other hand?" Appearing by pass 4 to take the penny in the right hand, you open that hand with a quick motion toward the handkerchief, saying "pass." The person holding the handkerchief looses his hold as directed, when the two coins are heard to chink together, as though the second coin had just arrived in the handkerchief, and on examination they are, of course, found to be those marked. We may here describe another and still neater mode, the invention, we believe, of M. Robert Houdin, of apparently wrapping a coin securely in a handkerchief, though really only covered by an outer fold. Holding the coin upright between the fingers and thumb of the left hand, throw the handkerchief fairly over it. Having shown it is fairly covered, remark, "But perhaps you may fancy I have changed the coin. Allow me to show you I have not." With the right hand, palm upwards, take the coin through the handkerchief, as shown in Figure 77, between the first and second fingers of that hand. For a moment let go with the left hand, but without removing it from under the handkerchief. Turn over the right hand towards yourself, and again seize the coin with the left hand, but this time nip the opposite edge of the coin to that which it first held, and through the double thickness of the handkerchief. Remove the right hand from the coin, and with it raise the outer edge of the handkerchief and show the coin as in Fig. 78. Then let the edges of the handkerchief fall. Apparently the coin is underneath and in the center of the handkerchief, but in reality it is outside, lying in a slight fold on the side away from the spectators. The above description sounds intricate, but, if carefully followed with the coin and handkerchief, will be found perfectly simple in practice. It is worth while taking some pains to acquire this sleight, as it is of great value in coin tricks. End of section 18.